What's going on, everybody? I'm back with another Prizepicks NBA player props video, coming off a video last night where I gave you guys 3 6-pick flexes for the college football championship game. I'm going to be giving you guys another 6-pick flex in this one. Quick little recap. Giving out a ton of free content, guys, for 2024. Kicking things off, a ton of free value. Just want to start the video out by saying if you enjoy the content, really would be greatly appreciated if you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload, guys. It is free. It takes 2 seconds to do. It really does greatly help me out, and I'll be helping you guys out with these videos for free all NBA season long. Like I said, last video gave you 3 6-pick flexes. These are all plays that I am playing myself, and I'm sending to my VIP this year, 2024. I'm just giving you actual plays that I'm playing. I'm pumping out, giving it to you guys for free, giving you the breakdown, telling you exactly why I like these plays. We talked about how these lines were way too inflated for the championship game, man. We were so close to a really huge night, but we still profited on the 3. If you played the 3 that I gave you, like I'm playing $40 units. We doubled up on this one for 80, doubled up on this one for 80, which automatically brings us up to 160. And I had $120 in entry fees and another 16 on this one. Really, really close to 3 different sweeps. It's just, unfortunately, one too many big plays to Roman Wilson and Colston Loveland to wrap up that college football championship game. But hopefully you tuned into that video. Hopefully you played these 3 6-mans, and if you did, you would have profited. We didn't get the big sweep, but profit is profit. That's the name of the game. That's what keeps you in the hunt. And once again, I do have another 6-man flex I'm going to be sharing with you guys that I did already send into the VIP. If you're getting serious and you'd like to join my VIP, it will be linked below in the description. Had some more windows over there last night. Give a couple quick shout outs here. Shooting at Gavin cashed in for 20 into 100, rocking with the under on Michael Penix, JJ McCarthy, Blake Corum over rushing yards. We had Mr. Green 85 with 15 into 150 here with some NBA action. Hidden with 10 into 106 here, 9 into 90, 20 into 200 here for Hector. So some more winners. I'd love to give a shout out to every single one of you guys in here. Zay with a nice win here. These were all plays that I was on myself with a nice 4-man power, 100 into 1,000. I ran these in a 6-man flex, and it went 5-1 because Daniel Gafford got sat the whole 4th quarter, so that was a little bit brutal. But luckily, Zay decided to go with his own little path there of changing it into a 4-man. Dylan says biggest win since the Super Bowl 25 into 625. So, would love to have you join over there, guys. We're cashing in, looking to keep it going in this one, and going to be sharing with you guys, once again, an exact play that I am running, an exact play that I already sent in over there. If you're interested in joining, that will be linked below in the description. It is patreon.com/KJK_DFS. I will comment and pin it at the top of the comments, and also I'll put it in the description of the video if you would like to join. But I'm going to keep giving out slips that I play over there, that I send over there, and play myself for free all 2024. Let's get into it. Got 6 free here today, and we'll break it down, tell you exactly why I like these plays, and let's get into it, guys. So first game I'd like to discuss is going to be the Sacramento Kings taking on the Detroit Pistons. This game has a 240 over under. It is an 11-point spread in favor of the Sacramento Kings, so a possible blowout here. And Domantas Sabonis is the first guy I'd like to discuss. I think his line is too inflated over here on Prizepicks in the fantasy scoring department. He's a guy that's putting up 1.36 fantasy points per minute. On the season, as far as his fantasy points, he's putting up 50 fantasy points per game. He's got a 23% usage rate, playing in the mid-30s. So he's putting up, a little over 1 point per minute, playing in the mid-30s. That's oftentimes going to have him put up games where he's in the mid-40s in fantasy points. And that's right where I have him here tonight. He's taking on a Detroit Pistons team that's not the greatest defensively, but it is an 11-point spread. There's a possible blowout if Domantas Sabonis doesn't play the entire 4th. That would be fantastic. We would be really happy about that. You look at his minutes in competitive games, typically playing right in the mid-30s to upper 30s. Detroit is going to be without Cade Cunningham in this one, without Isaiah Stewart. They, no offense, are not a very good team, and I think it's a great team to where oftentimes teams can kind of just go on cruise control, get the W, get their starters a little bit of rest, and bottom line here, guys, Domantas Sabonis' fantasy score prop over on Prizepicks is way too inflated here tonight. They've got him at 52.5. He has cleared this in 2 of the last 5, averaging 52.2 over that. But a large part as to why he's even averaging above 50 is because he had that 70.6 point performance against Orlando. I was actually on his under in that game as well. I've been on Sabonis' under a lot, it seems, on Prizepicks. Mainly just because they keep posting his line and too inflated, in my opinion. Latest projection for Mr. Sabonis for me in this one is right in the mid-40s. I've got him going out there getting, like 45 fantasy points. He's a guy that does tend to get in foul trouble, and he does turn the ball over a lot. These are two things that help us in the fantasy scoring department on Prizepicks. Anytime that I'm targeting an under on a guy, and he has some foul trouble and or turnover issues, it makes me like him even more. So bonus, you can see 3 turnovers, 2 fouls, 6 turnovers, 6 fouls. In this game, he fouled out. 6 turnovers, 2 fouls, 11 turnovers, 5 fouls. So his line's too inflated. Got him projected under, and a guy that can get into some hacking trouble. Guy that can get into some foul trouble, and a guy that turns the ball over a lot. So these are all great things, obviously, for us in the Prizepicks fantasy scoring format. For those of you that aren't familiar with the Prizepicks fantasy scoring format, you get 1 point for every point that a player gets, 1.2 for every rebound, 1.5 for every assist, 3 points for those blocks and steals, and -1 for the turnovers. So that's why I'm saying if he's going to turn the ball over, he's going to get -1 every time he does that. That's fantastic for us. So pick number 1. We're rocking with the under on Domantas Sabonis. Talked about it. It's really just where the line's set, guys. I mean, his ceiling's higher. He can definitely pass this. And to be honest with you, Detroit's a great matchup for opposing centers. Like, they haven't done a good job of slowing down centers, but it's just a matter of where he's priced. He's got a ceiling in the upper 50s in my projections. We're talking ceiling. His floor is down in the 30s. And his base projection, which is right in the middle, which is where Prizepicks is setting these. I mean, most of the time, they're setting these where they're expecting the base for the guy to be. And in a great matchup against Detroit, I don't know. Maybe a lot of people think he's going over. They're taking his over, so his line's inflated on Prizepicks. But I'm taking the under on this every single time for where his line's set right now. I think it ends in the 40s. And so, yeah, 52.5 is too high. That'll be pick number 1. Pick number 2 is going to be a non-fantasy score prop, which I don't do a lot on the channel, but I'm hoping you guys can lock this in before the bump. And it's a rare slate where it's small, and I only have so many picks that I like, so I'm just going to share it with you guys regardless. Anthony Edwards taking on the Orlando Magic. This game only has a 217 over-under. We look at the projected pace in this one. On the slate, it has the second lowest projected pace. Only a 99.4 projected pace here tonight. So what does that mean? That means obviously the game isn't expected to play too fast. And we once again do have an inflated line on Prizepicks that I would like to discuss with you guys. And it's going to be Anthony Edwards. And it's going to be his points, rebounds, and assist prop. Now, something that I do for non-fantasy score props is I'm constantly tracking market data, right? Got to keep an eye on the market, see where these lines are priced, see what Vegas is telling us. And we do have some pretty good value on Anthony Edwards under PRA on Prizepicks, namely because they have him set too high. Latest on Prizepicks, and I'm really hoping this prop doesn't get bumped for you guys, but it might. It hasn't so far, is 40.5. Now, if we pull up the old OddsJam Sportsbook screen here for you guys, I brought this up last game for that national championship where I talked about how the line was too high. Anthony Edwards, 40.5. It looks like the market's kind of fluctuating around. He was at 40.5 with some major juice on the under on Pinnacle earlier. Dropped all the way down to 39.5 with barely any value on the over. And Prizepicks hadn't adjusted. He was still at 40.5. Looks like some of that might be changing in real time here. But Bottom line, and know it sounds like it's not a big deal if you're new to this and you're just getting started. If a player's line is one whole different on Prizepicks as compared to the betting market, especially in the points, rebounds, and assist category, it's a pretty big deal. So I was seeing this line at 39.5 places. I was seeing juice on the under 40.5. Pretty significant on Pinnacle. It was all the way up to like minus 150. Bumped down to 39.5. Prizepicks still has him set at 40.5, so there's some value to be had on the under here. Now, if it was at 39.5, I would want to stay away from it. But since it's at 40.5, we can go ahead and capitalize on Prizepicks having it one too high. So once again, we're comparing market data. This is what I'm doing every single day behind the scenes. I'm already taking care of all this, beating bumps. Already had one play that I released earlier to the VIP where there was a bump. The value's been taken out. It was an assist prop that's now been bumped down. This is another example of one. Honestly, I thought it was going to get bumped down, but looking at the live market data right now, it might not. So you should be good to lock this in. I would take this as long as it stays at 40.5. If that goes down to like 39.5, not going to have as much interest, if that makes sense. And that's why I usually just promote fantasy score props on the channel, because non-fantasy score props tend to get bumped like crazy. But that'll be pick number 2. And then pick number 3 is going to be back to the fantasy score props. And it is going to be Mr. Paolo Banchero. His line's too inflated. Once again, similar to what we talked about with Domantas Sabonis here tonight. Banchero's been on a heck of a run here lately because they have been dealing with some injuries. We look at the the Orlando Magic side. They're going to be without Wendell Carter Jr., without Gary Harris, without Joe Ingles, without Jonathan Isaac, without Schofield, without Franz Wagner. That's been going on for quite some time now. We've seen Banchero really take a leap forward. He's been absolutely crushing, but we look at his fantasy point per minute production and where his line's set here tonight on Prizepicks. Once again, it's too high, and this is a terrible matchup for him. Minnesota is really good at slowing down the opposing power forward position. He's putting up 1.18 fantasy points per minute, 42.5 fantasy points per game, playing right in the mid-30s. Those minutes have been up, I will say, 45 and 41 minutes, 45 the last 3 times out. But for me, the matchup is where there's a big issue here. This game only has a 217 over-under, like I had discussed. It's going to be slower paced. And if it's going to be slower paced, since he's taking on the big front court and Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, once again, guys, this Minnesota Timberwolves front court's been doing a really good job of slowing down opposing power forwards. So this is like a terrible matchup for Banchero. They got Jaden McDaniels, Karl-Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert that they can throw at him. And Prizepicks has his line set all the way up. And I did jump over someone, by the way, as I'm recording here. I've got 1,000 things going on today. I'm trying to get this out to you guys as soon as I can. Banchero, 46.5. We're going with the under. Some quick stats as far as how good this Timberwolves team has been slowing down power forwards. 1, they're only allowing 29 to 30 fantasy points per game to opposing power forwards. 2, they're only allowing right around 5 rebounds. 3, they're only allowing right around 5 field goals to be made by opposing power forwards. This is a terrible matchup for Banchero, and his line is more inflated than it's been in a long time on Prizepicks. You pull this up, you can see a lot of green, which is fantastic time to target the under as far as I'm concerned. I don't care about the last 5 charts. I care about the current matchup and attacking the value at where it's set. My latest projection on Banchero has him in the low 40s, and he's got a floor all the way down into the 30s. Last time he played this same Minnesota team, he only put up in the 20s in fantasy points. So this is a terrible matchup for him. I really like the under here. It's a combination of that line being inflated, the matchup. It's a perfect time to attack him. And the guy that I skipped over here, he's got a taco, or he had a taco. It was Karl-Anthony Towns. You could run his taco or another taco in this slip, but I like his fantasy score as well. Did not mean to skip over Cat. We'll actually plug him in here first because he was the next guy on the same side for the Timberwolves. I like his over, 35.5. Quick little rundown on him. I know I need to get this out to you guys here before tip-off. So, but the Orlando Magic have been actually terrible against opposing power forwards. They're giving up over 35 fantasy points per game, over 7 rebounds, and over 7 field goals. So it's the exact opposite of what we discussed with Banchero. Orlando's giving up a ton of fantasy points to opposing power forwards. Minnesota is not giving up many fantasy points at all to opposing power forwards. So we're going with the under on Anthony Edwards' points, rebounds, and assists as well, which is nice because obviously we want him to not really have the greatest of games. Hopefully it's Karl-Anthony Towns dominating the possessions and really contributing for his team. And then we're running it back on the other side with the under on Paolo Banchero. His line's simply way too inflated. So that's going to be our first 4 picks for you guys in these earlier games. And our last 2, to round things out, we'll try to kind of make it quick for you as far as breaking it down and giving you this full 6-man. Next one's going to be in this Portland Trailblazers New York Knicks game. Jeremiah Grant, simply way too low. A guy that has played a ton of minutes in competitive games. Last time out, played 42 minutes. Time prior, only 23 and 20, but that's because these games were complete blowouts, guys. 126-97, 139-103. We do have another pretty big spread with a 12-point spread here tonight, but it's a risk we're just going to have to take. I say this all the time. I talked about how the blowout can possibly help us on Sabonis, but I'm not weighing that in. That's just a nice little bonus. I'm never trying to predict blowouts. Blowouts will happen in games that have a 5-point spread. Blowouts will happen in games that have a 12-point spread. Blowouts will happen. What I'm looking at is the projections, how my projections weigh up. They're factoring in so many different things on the back end. And Jeremiah Grant gets a fantastic matchup against a Knicks team that's been giving up a ton of fantasy points to opposing power forwards. And his fantasy point per minute production is great, and his minutes are great. Jeremiah Grant's putting up 0.94 fantasy points per minute. And once again, if it's going to be a competitive game, his minutes are really, really key here. He's going to play in the upper 30s, like 39, 40 minutes. If he plays 39 minutes or so, a guy that's putting up right around 1 fantasy point per minute, let's do some simple math here, right, guys? That's probably going to put him right around 38, 39, 40 fantasy points. Prizepicks has his line set all the way down into the low 30s. I'm sorry, the upper 20s, I should say. 28.5. My point, even better. I don't know. I guess I forgot his line now off the top of my head. Been one of those days for me. But 28.5 over for sure. He's going to be up there as he's done the last 2 times out. 34.7, 36.9 with those minutes in his fantasy point production. This line's too low. So we're going with his over. And then last but not least, a guy that just got traded from the New York Knicks. I've been talking about him quite frequently on the channel. He continues to have a ton of juice on his PRA prop every single day, it seems, and he's getting bumped on Prizepicks. It's Immanuel Quickley. He stepped into this Raptors squad and really taken on a big role here. We look at his minutes in competitive games. You can see for Immanuel Quickley, 37 minutes last time out against Sacramento where the game stayed close. Last time against Golden State, we had a blowout. He only played 26 minutes, so expect him to play in the mid-30s. And another guy who, if he plays his full allotment of minutes in the mid-30s, is going to crush his fantasy score. His fantasy point per minute production is 0.98. Once again, around 1 fantasy point per minute. If he's going to play in the mid-30s, that's going to obviously make him score in the mid-30s, and Prizepicks has him in the low 30s. That's who I was talking about, not Jeremiah Grant, but Immanuel Quickley, 30.5. This is too low. He's cleared this in each of the last 4 games. Expect him to continue to do so here in this matchup. Quick little stats on both of these guys. Like I said, it's a great matchup for Jeremiah Grant. The New York Knicks are giving up over 37 fantasy points per game to power forwards. That's ridiculously bad. That's dreadful. And then as far as Immanuel Quickley is concerned, taking on the Lakers, they're giving up actually 40 fantasy points per game to point guards. So these are both really great matchups for Immanuel Quickley to go over here against this LA Lakers squad on a 236 total, and for Jeremiah Grant to go over for this Portland Trailblazers squad against that New York Knicks squad that doesn't play good defense at all against his position. So that's going to be my 6 picks, guys, to get you winning some money. Over here on Prizepicks, in the NBA tonight, we have Domantas Sabonis under fantasy, Anthony Edwards under 40.5 points, rebounds, and assists, Karl-Anthony Towns over 35.5 fantasy score, Paolo Banchero under 46.5 fantasy score, Jeremiah Grant over 28.5 fantasy score, Immanuel Quickley over 30.5 fantasy score. And I did already lock this in. I did already send it into my VIP. It is an official play of mine. It is a ticket I provided my members, and I'm giving it to you guys here on the channel again for free today, giving you a ton of value to start out 2024. I'm going to give you a ton of more free value throughout the year just to prove that I did send it in. Here it is. Domantas Sabonis under 52.5 fantasy score. Anthony Edwards under 40.5 PRA. Karl-Anthony Towns over 35.5 fantasy score. Paolo Banchero under fantasy score. Jeremiah Grant over fantasy score. Manual quickly over fantasy score at these lines. Did lock it in myself as well. Put 1 unit on it, guys. So whatever you typically play on a ticket, if you play $5, put $5 on it. If you play $10, put $10 on it. If you usually play $100, put $100 on it. Stay disciplined with your bankroll. It is a 6-man flex long term. These are going to really make you profit on Prizepicks, but you don't want to go too crazy on one play. You might get lucky and hit it, but long term, you do that where you're fluctuating and you're not being smart with your bankroll, you're gonna lose your money. So that's my last warning to you. But really like these plays, and just to prove that I locked it in here for you guys, I have no issues with doing that. Here it is on my screen. I can put up to $40 on my 6-mans now. That's all I can do, so I put as much as I can. So I'm rocking with it. Those are my 6 picks to get you winning some money over here on Prizepicks. Hopefully you enjoyed, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell if you did before you head out the door. And if you're looking to get access to all my plays as soon as I place them, the KJK DFS VIP member package is going to be where it's at. I will link that down below in the description, and I will comment and pin it as a top comment on the video. Thanks for tuning in. Wishing you all the best of luck on your Prizepicks NBA player props tonight, and we will see you in the next one.